Yes. Does this mean we will not be heading back to Shempor, Captain?
Unfortunately, no. I think we'll go on to
Vorai.
Vorai, yeah. That's definitely. I remember that port name. I'm definitely not distracted in a moment with recalibrating my sectant. No. There we go. I think we're ready to make way to that port then.
Without much more to discuss or to do, the ship makes sail through the seas. The Asir blockade does not make any sign of chase. Anything Kashim Kassam has done certainly doesn't seem to be affecting your ability to leave.
Fantastic. I'm sorry about that, Cheshire and Etsa, but the last thing I want is this endeavour scrap because of unreasonable port authorities not knowing the plights of honest sea captains and their forgetful natures.
Believe it or not, my exile occurred not due to my newfound prowess or my somewhat radical stances toward the state, but because my fool of a brother failed to pay a proper fee to the guards while we were moving products through.
Do you physically do the fee symbol?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's...
Cheshire just looks sideways at Etzer. Oh, really? That's terribly unfortunate. I certainly hope they got what was coming to them.
He's passed out drunk in the hull of the ship, actually. So, more or less.
That works.
Well, if we can remove fees and open up the seas, I'm all for it.
We haven't had much of a chance to stop and talk and meet the court of the Ivory Patella as yet. Is this something you wanted to slowly reveal over the course of a session or two, Shock, or?
Yeah, I mean, basically, they're kind of a bunch of semi-well-off trust fund kids, for the most part. A few of them are actually decent at what they do, mostly his barber and tailor. So they're mostly there for flavor or when I need tasks done or things like that. I mean, they are willing to help me bust kneecaps, but they're not. They are decent at a lot of things and probably not good at really much of anything. But they're mostly his drinking buddies and friends.
Okay, feel free to bring them in at any point if that you feel necessary. I want you to get some good use out of them. I notice that you'll have names.
And I will be slowly adding descriptions for all of them.
As it is, sailing to the Vorai will take several days. Out on the open sea without much to stop you, but still needing to hug a little close to the coast. It sort of extends the journey a little more than would normally be pleasant. Needing to avoid the open waters because of the size, breadth, and aggression of the native fauna.
So
on the way. Sorry, go on.
I thought your description was done. My bad. Good.
I was going to talk about something else, but go. You go. If you have something to
add. Not necessarily. I was just saying we'll be traveling for a few days, and if certain conversations needed to be had, they could be. Such as what exactly happened
think now's a good time to broach that topic. Very quickly, though, during the journey, Seren and the good Captain Ash have been studying Vorai, looking up details and trying to learn more about the locals. It's not a port that they've done a lot of business in, so Seren doesn't already have a list of contacts for that particular area. What they find is that Vorai is led by a local lord, a Baron Goss. He's heavily into micromanagement. Very little happens within the port city without his direct knowledge or say so. He has a vast network of, you would call them city guards. The locals understand that nothing happens in this port without him being aware of it, directly or indirectly. His servants are perfectly capable of passing on information and messages at a speed most would think supernatural, if not for the very safe knowledge that he is nothing but a man, a very well-equipped, very tenacious, very intelligent man, but a man all the same. On the second day of the journey, it's not that the hunger has necessarily returned to start to peak at Cheshire's throat and heart. But since the events of Champor that night, there's something more about his experiences. He's not just feeling people's emotions, he's almost seeing them, this synesthetic effect. Wafts of color, almost aura, sort of radiating out of people whenever they feel particularly strongly in any way that he would normally attribute to being something that he could garner sustenance from.
So if these things are starting to manifest around Cheshire, he feels uncomfortable because he knows the hunger is coming back, and at the same time thoroughly intrigued because this hasn't happened before. Like, it's been what he would imagine, and that's what the images would coalesce into, but he's not seen them with the naked eye without putting some effort into it. So while at the same time he's feeling the hunger, he's also incredibly distracted by the dim aurora borealis that's going around the ship.
The captain will try and find a period in the day when Etzer and Cheshire were close together and approach them for a conversation. Etzer, Cheshire, may I have a moment of your time?
Captain?
Me and
Cheshire's a little reluctant because he knows what's coming.
Me and Seren have been poring over our records. We know very little about Vorai, but we do know that it is under the tight control of the Lord that oversees every aspect of that port city. His eyes and ears are everywhere, and nothing escapes his notice. So I feel that given our mission in there, we should probably decide how we wish to approach it. I mean, it might be a good way to see which side of this conflict, if any, the Lord is on, or it could be an opportunity to maybe gain an ally, but it could also tip off Ysir that we're actively working against them.
To be honest, I have a little inherent suspicion of a man who is so controlling of his people. Do your logs tell you anything about how he treats them? And do they even allow open trade?
Oh, I no, I know that they're trade. I imagine probably some things are banned. Most ports have their own little quirks of what's acceptable and what's not, and it seems to be much on the whims of those that control it, really.
Well, then I think we shall be fine. My opinion is silver is the only true language in this world.
And Jade speaks the loudest, eh?
That is a very loud voice, but if you have it, hello, my friend.
Well, I'm not particularly versed with this individual, but something tells me that we could certainly, I don't know, present him with evidence of what's going on and see what his reaction is.
Yes.
Maybe he has a investment in the city that's blockaded that he'd rather maintain.
In my experience, every small port is terrified when a large imperial power moves in next door.
Etsa? I know from experience that those in the higher echelons do enjoy having social galas and the sorts. And usually I avoid intrigue of a courtly life. But the galas can be quite fun, although there's always a subtle undertone of agendas.
That's what makes them fun.
Well, I mean, I go for other reasons, but each to their own. What I was thinking was, would there be a way to host such an event? I imagine that the Flirtatious Muse may make an intriguing location for such an event. Perhaps we could maybe generate revenue, or at least sway some people to our views, or sound them out in a sort of.
If he's any true ruler, he should have a chamberlain or a steward. We should make contact with them and then suggest a meeting between the two of us, even if it is private or some social event. You said that he's a extremely controlling man. I don't think he would appreciate being hosted on a ship that he does not know by people he has never met in situations he had no control over.
But isn't the spider always lured out when there's a web of intrigue just in front of him?
If we approach his secretary or steward on some business, what business would we have with them? Can we pull off something official for our meeting, or are we just going to be pulling something out of a hat?
I think once when we get to town, we should put in a little effort to, I don't want to say case the place, but press the flesh, get to know the people. I think we should shake out what they really want and then find a way to fill that need.
Well, I mean, if they're short on entertainment, I'm sure I could oblige.
Yes, I mean, all we need is some excuse. I think once we get you in front of them, you'll be able to change hearts and shift minds, make them more amicable to what we want.
Seren.
For the good of the people of Chia, of course.
Devon?
We're a bit light on contacts, correct? In this area.
Yes. Vorai is not a port we've had many dealings with, precisely because the Lord Baron has proven to be so controlling. That doesn't mean that it's impossible to do dealings there, just that it has been easier to go elsewhere.
Well, it would seem a shame to deny the city of Vorai our most graceful friend's abilities. Cheshire, would you be up for putting on a performance? A gift to Vorai to encourage people to come and maybe take up the services of the Flirtatious Muse and make friends with us. I feel a good way to make friends is to give them a bit of drink and entertainment, and it would help the Flirtatious Muse and also be a very non-threatening way to maybe make acquaintances. Everybody likes a party. Well, not everybody, but most people, right?
Most. Is there... Maybe it could be a full-on event. Not just offer free booze and free entertainment, but perhaps if we're looking for some high society rollers, there could be a bit of a monetary gain, whatever they might offer as a show of support for the entertainment. I mean, it could be worth looking into. Not expensive, mind you, but a small token.
Well, I believe it has been known that when a new expert craftsman or artist puts on their first show of the city, bragging rights of the lord that acts or lady that acts as a patron can get considerable social clout. We're just merely make it known that an expert, graceful dancer has made port and is looking to put on their first performances, yet to have a patron, and invite everybody to the event. If that's agreeable with you two, I feel like I don't want to feel to force you into something, but it seems to maybe achieve all our objectives. And
No, I like it. In fact, it would be an excellent excuse for those lazy bums downstairs to get off their hindquarters. No reason to have a court if you can't put them to work for you.
Every court needs a jester.
Where's
that? I've been feeling a little rusty. Maybe I can get into the old dance shoes a bit. I haven't had the chance to entertain very much since we left Champor. How about I stretch my legs a little?
Well, I think it's going to sound awfully fun, actually. Looking forward to it.
Just remember, you asked for a dazzling performance. And I never failed to deliver.
Captain's face sort of drops suddenly as he remembers, and a little bit of trepidation creeps across his face.
Do you mean that literally? Because I'm still not sure just going around glowing all the time is the best course of action for us.
Yes, you seem to say you knew something about the spirit's touch.
Well, I think we can all agree know something about is a little bit of an understatement.
What do you know about it? I mean, I don't know this spirit that gave me these gifts. And I didn't certainly know that it had bestowed these powers on other people. Are there many of us that have been touched by it? Or is it different spirits? I noticed that the marks on your head was different. to mine?
All I know is a person of magnificence appeared to me in what I can only describe as a vision. They didn't introduce themselves, but I kind of felt like he was familiar, almost like family. And I just assumed that everyone else had something of that nature.
Just for viewers and other players, in Ash's head he's like thinking, family? But from what I've seen of visions of your family, you stabbed them? I'm not sure that's a good thing. That's just his mental little image.
Too soon.
Did you not see the person?
I had no such hesitation.
I had made an oath to Mars and the unconquered sun, but no one spoke to me.
So that's his name? Mars?
No. Mars. What did this figure look like that you saw, Cheshire?
Well, incredibly handsome. I thought my eyes were going to fall out of my head. Very dashing, very charismatic. Couldn't help but hang on his every word. Muscular. Definitely didn't skip on legs. I think he did too many arms, too much arm day. He had 4 of them.
I know exactly who you're talking about. See, unlike most people in creation who live on the dirt, what they worship is what's closer to them. They worship gods of the field and tree and grain. But Palanquin, we're a city raised above everything, closer to heaven than anyone else. It is only natural that we worship our celestial brethren, who, especially in areas involving the dragon-blooded, are mostly neglected and forgotten. The fact that it was a he instantly rules out Mars. All of them are, by their name would imply, the 5 maidens, not of that gender. But the unconquered sun, that's who I think has done this to us.
Well, you do see a lot of sun at sea, so that makes sense.
That's incredible. So I met with a god.
One would argue the greatest of them. I would argue that, just so we're clear.
Well, you do seem to know more about this than either him or I, and I met the guy. Well, I figured it was just another interesting dream after having just met Amber Glow, so I didn't think too much of it.
Well, I think the next chance that you get, you should buy a fatted goat and some consecrated oils and do a proper sacrifice to him. If you saw this vision of him and you gained this gift right before you became acquainted from Amber Glow, I don't want to overstep my bounds, but it does not seem like you had the most amicable or friendly relationship. And with Glow's nature being what it is, his gift to you might be the only reason that you are sane or intact right now.
Amber Glow did describe that if I hadn't danced so magnificently that day, I most likely would have just been another victim. But anyway, that's the past. So the shell. No, I'm not gonna let my forehead glow again. I'm gonna exercise a certain amount of control this time.
So, should we each take responsibility of a facet of this show, in order to get it ready in time? Because though we have some time before port, we're probably going to want to not waste any time. Obviously, Giroux's situation will probably be getting dire by the day.
If you can provide the stage, I can take care of everything else.
I should be able to put together a stage.
And me and my men can definitely rustle up support and an audience for the show.
Yes, good. I've done this before with my mother. She had certain friends that she would hide amongst the passing crowd in the market that would be the first to drop coin into our gathering pack. And after that, other individuals would start dropping that. So, smart.
Well, Cheshire, if you give me a brief rundown of what you want for the stage, I'll begin making preparations for it. And also, Etzer, if you happen to know any people of note in this port, I can exquisitely pen some invitations.
I don't know anyone yet, but give me an hour or two after we make dock. I will have quite the list for you.
Fantastic.
What kind of show would Cheshire be planning?
Given his gifts and abilities, it would be an inspirational show. So, one that would be infectious. It would spread through the city like wildfire. We'd become household names within the day. It would consist of maybe 2 performances, and he would have, of course, an encore prepared in advance. Dancing, there'd be veritable instruments around that would be played. Let's go for uplifting and inspiring a certain amount of exhilaration. So fast-paced music. Everyone in the crowd would want to join in. That sort of thing.
Quick question: what is the coat of arms or flag of the city of Vorai?
A serpent coiled around a shield.
May I make a suggestion, Cheshire?
You may. I can't stop your tongue.
Given that Vorai is a city with a serpent and shield motif, perhaps that could be worked into your performance. The Flirtatious Muse offers rigging and ropes, which I don't know if you are acrobatically inclined, but you could perhaps work that into your performance. I can make the stage to facilitate that if you need. It's just an idea. I find that venerating a city's flag and often inspires goodwill on the part and may stir up the right kind of sentiment, perhaps. and endear us as like friends rather than outsiders coming to change tradition and stir up trouble.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not terribly inclined toward climbing or doing all manner of flipping maneuvers, but I'm sure I could throw something together. And whenever he says throw something together, he looks at you and the ember in the back of his eyes kind of flash a little bit. They enhance in their glow.
Well, I've seen your choreography firsthand, and it was mighty impressive.